Well, hey, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the YouTube channel for this installment of John Campea's Open Mic. Sorry, so I'm thrown off right now because I'm used to having this monitor on in front of me, and I totally didn't notice we didn't have it turned on before we started.
Yeah.
Now I feel like naked because I can't see what's going on. Anyway, guys, welcome back to Open Mic, the show where the mic is open. The floor is yours. What is it you guys would like to talk about? Whatever that is, that's what we are here to do. And we're going to do that in one of two different ways. The first way you can get a question to be addressed here on Open Mic is if you're watching the show in one of the 23 hours when we're not actually streaming live, you guys can send in a question to our tip link simply at streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. Now, if you are watching live, you can use the super chat feature and send it in. Now, the super chats are already kind of overflowing, so they're only going to be open for another 2 or 3 minutes. So if you are watching live and would like to get in a question, go ahead and send it into the super chats now. I'm joined today in studio by Ray Ora. What is that you're looking
out
at?
with something?
Oh, sorry.
What is it? Oh
He's
my
making
God.
out with his cereal.
Is that a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cereal? Man, this is getting out of hand. I'm not going to lie to you. This is starting to get out of hand.
Come on, it was only $4. Come on.
Only $4. Well, I was going to say something, but I've chosen not to. Also sitting over here is Jonathan Voico.
I'm the one who has to sit right next to him, making out with cereal boxes.
And most importantly, you guys are here. So let's get into it. Now, before we do, though, I want to take just a quick second here to talk about something really interesting. Now, we've been talking a bunch about the fact that both Barbie and Oppenheimer destroyed box office projections, right? Like at most they were projecting Barbie to make $100 million, made 155. At most they were projecting Oppenheimer to make 50, made $80 million. And as it actually turned out, we've been reading some analysis of some of the insiders in the industry have been saying, you know, instead of these two movies competing against each other, they actually very much helped each other, creating this Barbenheimer thing. Something of which we've never really seen anything like this in the movies, and it just kind of propelled it. Well, it looks like the even bigger beneficiary out of the two of them was Oppenheimer. Because according to this story that I've got in IndieWire here.
Now, you may need to, if you're going to go to it, I don't have it. Just so
okay, let me just see if I can get that going here again. Let's see. That might work for you now. But Oppenheimer was the beneficiary even more because according to stories, they sold $5 million in tickets because $5 million for the people actually went to go to the theater to go see Barbie. It was sold out. And then they ended up going over to see Oppenheimer instead. Now, we talked about this on the John Campea Show earlier, but I wanted to read this again. This is again as an IndieWire. Barbenheimer double features were only the beginning. Disappointed by sold-out shows, hundreds of thousands of Barbie fans turned to Robert Oppenheimer for comfort. The result is an extra $5 million in the Oppenheimer box office. According to film data research company The Quorum, 6% of the people who saw Oppenheimer in the U.S. this past weekend did so because tickets to Barbie were sold out. Oppenheimer drew $83 million domestically, so $4.98 million is attributed to Barbie leftovers. Oppenheimer made $93.7 million at the foreign box office. Now, I think there's another angle to this, and I mentioned this on the John Campea Show podcast earlier, which is there have been films that have had bigger opening weekends. Not this year. Barbie is officially now the biggest opening weekend of the year. But there have been other films that have had bigger opening weekends. A couple, like Avengers Endgame, significantly bigger opening weekends. So how come other movies didn't benefit from that? I think the reason is this. Remember how we were saying that both Oppenheimer and Barbie shattered the projections? Well, the projections is basically what movie theaters base the number of screens they're going to dedicate to a particular movie, right? And I think, and I haven't talked to anybody in any of the major theater chains yet. I'm going to email a couple people later and see what they think. But what I think kind of happened here was that I think a lot of people were expecting Barbie to make somewhere between $85 and $100 million and probably screened it appropriately. With the fact that they just sold way more tickets than they were anticipating and far more people ran out to go see. And like I said, Ray and I went to the theater a couple times this weekend. The amount of people walking around in pink far exceeded my expectations. Way exceeded my expectations. I mean, even the guys, Remember we had a couple of guys come up to us and ask to take pictures, and they were like in full, like really sharp, full out pink suits and all this kind of stuff. Well,
Everyone dressed up for the wrong movie. I went in a tweed suit.
totally tweed. So I think the fact that a lot of like the huge number at the box office surprised even the theater. So they didn't have it playing on the appropriate amount of screens.
I would like to believe that 6% was going to watch Oppenheimer anyways.
I mean, I think
No one
probably a
forces
lot of them
themselves
may
to-
have, but maybe not till next week.
Yeah, but they
or
were
something
gonna
like that,
watch
right?
it anyways.
Like, yeah, you were probably. I think a lot of those people, like, if you weren't interested in the movie at all,
Yeah.
you just go home.
Yeah, you're not going to stick it to Barbie or the theaters
Yeah,
by watching
it's like,
another
well, screw
movie.
them. How dare they be sold out? I'm gonna go watch. I don't know what's a sucky movie that I'm
It
gonna
just
go.
means Barbie's going to have another big weekend this coming weekend.
I mean, probably. And Oppenheimer's probably going to have another big weekend too, because a lot of people who went to go see, like, clearly there were a lot of people who decided they wanted to see Barbie first. Obviously, it made $155 million. I think that means there's probably a lot of business there for Oppenheimer to do next weekend, right? This is going to be great for both of them. But again, I just think it's really interesting to see this phenomena of Oppenheimer making $5 million off people who just couldn't get into Barbie and therefore turned around and went to Oppenheimer. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, because, I mean, ordinarily they'd be like, well, the thing we wanted to see isn't playing, whatever, we'll just come back. But they know the hype, so they're like, well,
Yeah.
let's do the other
Right,
end
it
of
was
that
the
hype.
Barbenheimer
Yeah.
thing, right? They wanted, like, I think this has been a weekend that has been unlike many weekends we've seen, forget the pandemic era, like unlike a lot of weekends we've seen in a lot of years, where you've had two such highly anticipated movies come out. And like that one article that we read from Variety earlier was, these two things didn't cannibalize each other. They actually propelled each other. And so you had people interested in both of these very diametrically opposed types of movies who wanted, first of all, AMC A-List, over 100,000 A-List members booked tickets to see both on opening weekend. But at the same time, you got people going to see Barbie, like I said, who were probably going to go see Oppenheimer next. Couldn't get in to see Barbie. So it's like, okay, we'll go see Oppenheimer now, and probably are going to see Barbie next week. And a lot of people who did get in to see Barbie that are probably planning on next seeing Oppenheimer. So you're going to see these numbers. Well, again, I'm not saying that I think Barbie's going to pass, Mario Brothers as the number one film of the year. I don't think it's going to do. I don't think it's going to have that. It's not a family film. It's not going to have that same kind of legs. I mean, it's a family film to a degree, but it's not like a Mario Brothers. But these movies are both going to make a lot of money, especially for the types of movies they are.
I was going to tell Jonathan, when we're at our Oppenheimer screening, right? We're into it, like 10 minutes into it, like the movie starting, and it's quiet. It's like a quiet movie, like in the beginning. These Barbie enthusiasts come walking in, and they're sitting right behind us, but they were all like pinked out with little bells and chimes like attached. So in this quiet movie,
In the Oppenheimer.
it's like ding, 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 going up the steps. It's just funny. It's because it's like, oh my God. What's
I hear
going
y'all
on?
got a movie in here. Our movie's closed out.
It's a clashing of two different types of worlds, man. It's great though. I love it. You know what? Going back about a month or so ago when or maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, we were looking forward to this stretch of movies that we have not had in years, right? It's ever since the pandemic started, we have gone years without having like week after week after week of anticipated movie. And really it's been a long time since we've had a weekend like this. So it's a great time to be a movie fan. And again, I mean, I think Oppenheimer is the clearly superior movie, but it's great that this kind of success is happening to two really good, high quality movies. Barbie's not going to end up in my top 5 of the year or anything, but it's a thoroughly smart, thoroughly entertaining, really good little movie.
I've loved every single movie I've seen since Quantum Mania. Like, I didn't see Fast X, so I didn't have to suffer through that, but Haunted Mansion coming this Thursday. Do not
Please don't break the streak.
break my streak, for real. Okay?
And can you look up Oppenheimer on Rotten Tomatoes? Yeah. I've got Barbie right now. Check this out. I mean, this two movies opening on the same weekend, big, huge financial successes both. This one 90%. Actually, look, the critics and the audience scores are exactly the same. Critics score 90%, audience score 90%.
Same here with Oppenheimer, 94% critic and audience.
And critic and audience. So we're seeing like the critics and the audiences both completely align on both of these movies. So it's great that it's not just some crappy movie that, if we're going to go see movie miles. No. It's two really high quality movies, good on both of them. And it's great to see that kind of success.
Just think about the statistical odds that Oppenheimer would be a 94-94 and Barbie would be
a 90 and a 90.
With all the votes. That's
is,
almost impossible.
All I know is my neighbors who never go to the movies, they're going to go watch Oppenheimer today. So hopefully they enjoy it.
Yeah, and your sister, my wife, off to see Barbie today, I think, if she can get a hold of your sister. So, all right, guys, with that down, let's go now over to your questions. That's why we're here to hear from you guys. We're going to start off with the questions sent into our tip link. So what do we got up here first?
Garden Variety Vagabond writes, John, have you seen the U.S. professional sports team have jumped on the Barbenheimer wagon, posting social media players in pink and black outfits?
You have to be more specific than U.S. professional sports team.
Yeah, I haven't noticed.
But hey, listen, everybody's jumping on the Barbenheimer train, my friends. It's a train with lots of room for everybody. Jump on board. All right, what's next?
Mean writes, let's pretend J.R.R. Martin finished the last A Song of Ice and Fire in 2030. At that time, would it be a good idea to reboot Game of Thrones now that the story is completed?
No, the story is completed. And the reality is, it is a tiny fraction of the people who watched Game of Thrones to the people who read Game of Thrones. I mean that I'm not bashing the books at all but that is a statistical fact, right? It is only a small fraction of the people who watched the show had actually read the book. So no, I don't think they rebooted it at all. All right, what's next? What do we got, Ray?
I'm just looking at it. It's true. Like the Cleveland Browns, their lighting is all pink right now since they're not playing right now. So they have the stadium lit up in pink. There's a bunch of players that are wearing pink just coming into the locker room. I don't know if this is current.
Everybody's jumping on that Barbie train. All right, what's next?
All right. Mean writes it here. Have you seen Regal's bumper before the movie with the movie quotes? After listening to it, I'll personally take watching the Nicole Kidman bumper any day. I
did. Because what was I in a Regal for?
She thanks you.
Oh, no, we just saw Barbie in a Regal, didn't we? That's where we saw Barbie, was in a Regal. Yeah. It's like the Nicole Kidman ad. It's not bad the first one or two times you see it, but then it gets real tired real fast. And again, you're just advertising to try to get people to do something they're already doing. Come to a Regal theater. What the fuck do you think we're doing? We're sitting in a Regal theater.
No, but come and sit in one.
But I swear, like I've said it 1,000,000 times, but I'll say it again because it is true. It's like trying to get a girl to read your, what's the big dating website?
Tinder or whatever.
It's like trying to get a girl to read your Tinder profile while you're in the middle of having sex with her. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. So anyway, all right, what's next?
All right. Anonymous writes, hey, John, Box Office Pro is projecting opening weekend for, this is because this is on Thursday.
Right.
Weekend for 140 and to 175, but saying 158. Oppenheimer is opening at 52 to 72. If this is true, these are both big wins for the studio and bring on the Barbie.
Yeah. So like the projections forever was 85 to $100 million. It was like last minute when the advanced ticket sales started to get added up, the Box Office Pro changed their projections. And listen, that's what you do. When new information becomes available, you change your forecast. But yeah, it was absolutely crazy how much bigger people responded to this. It does remind me a lot of Mario Brothers. Because remember, we put out that video probably about a month before Super Mario came out where I said, listen, guys, the #1 film of the year is going to be Mario Brothers. But nobody else thought that. Like nobody else in the world. And then I was part of the group that didn't think Barbie, like I thought Barbie would be a hit. I did not think it could get 150 million. I really didn't. And so it's the same kind of thing that we had with Mario Bros. The hype,
it's
my
the
friend.
Brand and the hype.
All right, what's next?
Einstein is jealous, writes, love your show and loved Oppenheimer. If there's a benefit from the SAG strike, it is having numerous lengthy interviews with Nolan as a director-writer. Extremely interesting and just shows that he is indeed one of the best working today. And to see his dedication to the art form and respect for the audience is truly incredible. To quote him, "The film's not finished until it goes to the audience. For me, it's the audience who finishes the films. Bravo, sir. Cheers."
You know, I've heard Christopher Nolan talk about that before. And one of the things he said, like by the audience finishes the film, is that the audience you are with is a part of your viewing experience. And I got to tell you, like Ray was talking about how the movie starts, and it's like dead silent in the theater. That was a part of the experience of watching that movie. And then like when, this isn't spoiling anything because they show clips of it in the trailer, when, you know, the nuclear blast goes off, the tension you felt in that room, the audience does complete the movie. But Christopher Nolan is like Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese. I mean, there's a number of these high-profile filmmakers, especially Christopher Nolan, who is just 100% dedicated to the theatrical experience. That's where movies are supposed to live. That's where movies are supposed to be experienced. That's where the absolute best experience watching a movie is. And he's 100% right. And, you know, it is a shame that with a cast like this, where you've got Florence Pugh and you've got Matt Damon and Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr., and you got a cast like this and they can't be out there, you know, promoting the film. That's unfortunate, but at least you got a guy like Christopher Nolan who can do it.
The buzz, as soon as that movie ended and the claps we heard was unforgettable.
Oh yeah, it was just everybody
heard
sharing that
whisper.
experience. Yeah, you could feel it in the air. All right, what's next?
Anonymous writes, when Nintendo was failing during the Wii U era, the executives took 50 to 75% pay cuts in order to ensure no employee was fired. Why can't Iger or Zaslav or the other executives learn to take a little less in order to make things better for their employees?
What employees? I mean, like, here's the thing. It's about business model, right? It's about a business model. The model had to change. See, like, it's not like the situation with Nintendo where the model was right. We're just struggling right now. If we can persevere and get through this, then we'll be fine. That's not the same thing. The studio, like, for instance, in the case of Disney, which announced a long time ago that they were going to be doing, I think it was what was it, 7%? Or I can't remember what the number, something like that.
Yeah.
A certain percentage of layoffs, right? That was a result of not about a struggling time. It was that the model had to change. They had a big merger with Fox. They had done, which they always said there was going to be more redundancy and more layoffs were going to be done. All that kind of stuff. Same thing that we saw with Discovery merging in with Max. There's going to be redundancy. And over time, there were going to be layoffs. Their models had to change. It's not like Nintendo merged with another video game company and then just decided to keep everybody. If Nintendo had merged with another video game company, they would have been doing some massive layoffs because a lot of jobs would have been redundant, not to mention their entire business model was different than what Disney was shifting from. So it's not the same thing. And by the way, I'm all for, like, we hear sometimes about certain CEOs decide, like, I'm going to take a $1 salary this year. I mean, that's always great. That's awesome. But at the end of the day, the amount of money that needs to be made up for with the model shift, we're talking in the double digits of billions. So even if say a David Zaslav or a Tompkins or an Iger or something like that were to come out and say, we're going to take a $1 salary this year, it wouldn't make any difference. Like back in the Nintendo era, that's all they needed. But what we're talking about in these model shifts, you're talking about literally double digits of billions of dollars that have to be accounted for. And even if the CEOs were to say, I'm going to take no salary for the next 4 years, it actually wouldn't make a difference in the world. So there's that. All right, what's next?
Broadway Geeky writes, hey gang, is there a show that used to be popular that you love and no one talks about it anymore, but you still do? Mine is Boardwalk Empire. Started it this year and I'm obsessed. I didn't know Steve Buscemi could do drama. I want him in more.
Yeah, I love Boardwalk Empire. I kind of fell out of love with it a little bit in its last one and a half seasons. But actually, it's one of the first things I thought of when I saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Because the lead government guy was Steve Buscemi's brother in Boardwalk Empire. And I was like, this is the guy from Boardwalk Empire. I don't know the actor's name. I wish I knew the name. But no, Boardwalk Empire, at least for the first couple of seasons, was all kind of banger good. Like really, really, really good. All right, what's next?
Ethan Holgate writes, "Wow, guys, Oppenheimer was truly fascinating. Nolan truly did an amazing job with his story. I thought it was a brilliant decision to have all the dialogue scenes done very fast cut, and the movie would be 5 hours otherwise. LOL, a bunch of Oscars for this film."
You know, I mentioned a little bit earlier that one of the biggest signs that Christopher Nolan is truly coming into the height of his powers as a storyteller is that Oppenheimer is a movie that jumps back and forth between time periods. You know, go to this time period, back to this time, back to that other time period, into another time period, blah. But it flows so naturally and it feels so smooth. And a part of that is the cadence of the dialogue, understanding what lines need to be said, what don't, how to pace those out, all that kind of stuff. There was just a kinetic energy to the movie. In a movie that I said in my out of theater reaction was, this is a movie that doesn't have a single punch thrown, yet it's thrilling. You're on the edge of your seat when somebody's walking from one room to another room just to say something to somebody. I mean, that is just what Christopher Nolan's been able to put together here, and it's absolutely remarkable. All right, what's next?
Dangerous D, are there any DC movies that are coming in 2024? I thought Superman Legacy was coming next year, but it's not.
No, Superman Legacy isn't until 2025. There are no DC, either DCEU or DCU movies coming in 2024, unless there is a story going around right now that they are contemplating bumping Aquaman again from its late 2023 date into 2024. Now, that's they're saying that's a result. The same thing as they're saying about Dune, because it is a big deal to them that you got to have your stars able to go out and promote the film. And like we were just talking about Oppenheimer, big open. Yeah. But the actor strike just started like a little while ago. They were doing a lot of promotion for Oppenheimer before, they got close to the release date. With this, you got to have Jason Momoa out there stumping for this movie. Cause I tell you what, the DCEU has not had a movie that's made even $400 million in the last 5 years. So Aquaman, which I believe will make more than $400 million, but Aquaman is going to struggle, and you need every single benefit you can get and put out there. Jason Momoa is your big star. You got to have him out there. By the way, have you seen the commercials with him promoting Shark Week?
Yeah.
Jason Momoa is like the narrator, the face man for Shark Week on Discovery this year. So his relationship with Warner Brothers is very good, but you want him out there doing that, and he can't do that while there's a writer's strike or while there's an actor strike going on. So there is a possibility we may get a DCEU movie in 2024, but it'll be one that was supposed to come out in 2023.
Have you seen that preview of the scientists or whatever inside? Like they created like a big whale, and they're in the stomach like a glass. They made like
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Like for Shark Week.
Oh, no.
They have like a fake whale, or I think it's an inflatable whale, but then the stomach area, it's glass. So the swimmers are in there just trying to get close to sharks. Did I see that, or was I dreaming?
It sounds like
Somebody
a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Somebody tell me if that's real or not.
Was that real? Or was I dreaming? Ladies and gentlemen, what it's like to have daily conversations with Ray. No, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that. So maybe it was a dream of yours.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna do y'all a favor.
King Daddy goes saying, Ray, are you high? All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher writes, the SAG strike and all this talk of residuals just reminded me of that story, I think pre-pandemic, where a guy recognized one of the baggers at his grocery store as a recurring actor on a sitcom 30 to 40 years ago. Do you remember the story? Yeah, I do. He was on the Cosby Show. It was Jeffrey Owens was his name.
Oh, I don't think I've ever heard that story. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. Okay, what's next?
I never thought about it before, or Sam Fisher writes, I never thought about it before, but the Dark Knight trilogy is very Bond-esque. Bruce is obviously Bond, Lucius is Q, Alfred is M, the elaborate Bond villain schemes of Ra's, Joker, and Bane, the globe-trotting nature of the series, etc.
I honestly don't know.
Bond is a lot of adventure films.
Yeah, but I honestly don't know who came first, Bond or Batman?
Oh, Batman.
Yeah.
Well, you mean in the world of, Batman.
I mean, at all. Like, who was creative? I don't know. I can't remember what year.
Bond was created in the 50s, but Batman was in the 30s.
Okay, so, like, Batman, I don't know how, like, at what year did Alfred come along? At what year did, but
right. First appearances.
Yeah, you're right. There's a little bit of a model there for that. I was also just watching something that was comparing two other things. Oh, it's going to bug me now for the rest of it. But yeah, but by the way, Bond and Batman aren't the only ones that have that kind of model either. I mean, you could look at a lot of other different things, but actually that's a pretty neat comparison. I like that. That's some good insight.
No, this is real. This is real.
Oh, the whale thing?
It's called Belly of the Beast Feeding Frenzy. They use a decoy, a whale, and a scientist hides inside the stomach while the sharks attack it.
How?
It's for science.
It's for science.
It's for science.
The guy even said he was dry heaving because
it sounds like a jackass stunt more than it sounds like for science.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Glass Stomach and a Whale. No. Okay. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher writes, I finally finished The Bear, and while season 2, episode 6 is excellent, episode 7 is even better. I love that Richie finds his purpose, and I don't know about you, but I think Oliver Platt should win the Emmy for Best Guest Actor in a Comedy. He's great as Uncle Jimmy.
I saw that he was nominated for Best Guest Actor, but I am confused about the rules because I was under the impression that Best Guest Actor meant you appeared in one episode. He's in more than one episode. He's a recurring character. Now, he's not in as regularly as a lot of the other characters, but I need somebody from the Television Academy to explain to me the parameters of guest appearance because, you know, when you look at Ron Swanson in episode 3 of Last of Us, that is a 1 episode appearance, right? It's a guest appearance. He's in the show and then he's gone. Oliver Platt, who I adore, I've loved him ever since he did Kiefer Sutherland's Three Musketeers movie, but I just don't see him as a guest appearance, but someone's got to explain the rules to me. All right, what's next?
Sam Fisher writes, if I posted to social media to watch blank show because I want to get another season or because it's really good and I'm not being paid and I'm not an influencer and I wasn't contacted by a studio and I may want to become a screenwriter and join the WGA, is that promoting? No, because...
You're just doing the average thing that the average person does all the time. There's nothing about that. You are not, like, it's different saying, hey, man, I'm looking forward to seeing this show. That's one thing as compared to I've booked an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel to go and talk about this movie and promote. Like, they are two different things. So no, you're fine. If you hope to one day be in SAG or the WGA, you're fine to jump on Twitter and write whatever you want. You're okay. All right, what's next?
Hitchcock is the GOAT writes, wow, what a weekend. Big win for WB and with Barbie, but can you imagine the what ifs going on in the WB offices? They could have been behind both of these movies this weekend. Zaslav needs to start begging again. Get Christopher Nolan Pizza Hut and not Domino's.
By the way, Domino's is disgusting. Oh, I guess I just lost our chances of ever having Domino's as a sponsor of the show, but Domino's is so disgusting.
The Ninja Turtles are with Pizza Hut anyways.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you
Don't
go.
need you Domino's. I mean, except later.
Here's the thing, but it's, you can't ask the what ifs because this Warner Brothers are not the ones who lost Christopher Nolan. It was a different Warner Brothers a lot. It was the AT&T Warner Brothers under the leadership of Jason Kilar. When Jason Kilar was the CEO there and AT&T owned it, it was a completely different group. So if you're David Zaslav and the current ownership of WB, you can't play the what if game because that was somebody else. That was somebody else that did that. Now, for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, Jason Kilar, under the AT&T era of Warner Brothers, made the most monumentally stupid, idiotic decision ever made in the history of entertainment. You know, if you wish you were in the room to slap them in the side of the head and said, what the fuck are you actually thinking? When Jason Kilar, CEO of Warner Brothers, decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take all of our movies that are supposed to come out this year and we're just going to dump them on HBO Max day and date. Yeah, that's a great idea. They didn't tell their financial partners at Legendary. They didn't tell one of their filmmakers. That's the perfect image. They didn't tell their filmmakers. They didn't tell any of them that were going to do that. And like Denis Villeneuve, like good Canadian, even keel kid, he wrote this op-ed piece that just eviscerated Warner Brothers for doing that because they screwed over his Dune movie. And Christopher Nolan I can't remember if it was him or Denis Villeneuve who said, I went to bed working for the best movie studio and I woke up working for the worst streaming company.
I think that was Christopher Nolan.
It was Nolan.
Christopher Nolan just put out his own op-ed, eviscerating thing, and he was like, that's it. I'm never working with you morons again. And that's when he left WB to go to Universal.
WB seemed to be so reactionary without even thinking about the consequences of their actions back then.
Look, here's the thing. And they compounded stupid mistake with stupid mistake. Because number one, they made the stupid decision in the first place. So let's go day and date. And then their second stupid thing was they announced it without talking to Legendary, and Legendary ended up suing them for it, without talking to their filmmakers. So literally Christopher Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, all these filmmakers woke up one morning and went and read about it in the paper. So he destroyed his relationship with the talent, with the filmmakers and all that kind of stuff, destroyed his relationship with their co-financing partners, destroyed all their relationships. Now, that's one of the reasons why the first thing that David Zaslav and the new ownership of Warner Brothers came out and said is, we are a theatrical first company. Yes, we're going to make things for Max and all that kind of stuff, but we are first and foremost a theatrical company. We are going to be about our talent. We're going to be about giving our talent the best filmmaking experience they can, blah, 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 right? And that's why, remember we did stories like Christopher Nolan, David Zaslav were seen having lunch together and all that kind of stuff. Listen, they may or may not be able to get Christopher Nolan back. He might be very happy right now at Universal. But that's not something Warner Brothers right now can worry about because it wasn't them that lost him. It was the other guys that lost him. All right, what's next?
Hitchcock is the GOAT writes, even though newer characters are in Secret Invasion, I believe the main core story is a continuation of where Captain Marvel ended, not where Iron Man began. So if there weren't any Avengers in Captain Marvel, why would we expect them in Secret Invasion?
And I mean, it's one of my ongoing complaints about the shared cinematic universe in the audience. When you have these shared cinematic universe, every time there's something, everybody asks, why didn't Thor show up? Why didn't Iron Man show up? Why didn't Doctor Strange show up? Because it's not a Doctor Strange show. It's Secret Invasion. I don't disagree with you. This really is a continuation of Captain Marvel. And again, a degradation. Now, I'm liking Secret Invasion. Don't get me wrong. I am enjoying it. I don't think it's great, but I'm enjoying it. But Marvel, the brilliance of Marvel used to be that there were never any prerequisites for watching a new Marvel title, right? Every new Marvel project that came out for 10 years was a valid entry point for a brand new fan. You didn't have to watch anything before it to be able to watch it and get it. That's changed now. And Secret Invasion, unfortunately, is one of those. Like, if you didn't watch Captain Marvel, you have no idea what the F is going on in this show, right? And so while I am enjoying this show, it's a thumbs up show for me. It's not great, but it's good. But it's another one of those things where it's a prerequisite show. There, you have homework you have to do before being able to watch it, and Marvel was never like that before. All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Link, one of two. To me, Oppenheimer felt like a collage of incomplete scenes strung together over an event weakened by what seemed like an unfocused narrative. You were one of the 1 out of 10 critics, weren't you? I also felt like the actors were robbed of the chance to really flesh out their scenes because each scene was cut short. I felt like Lincoln did a better job of dramatizing an important event around a central figure with a complete and cohesive story. Other than that, the acting was wonderful, and I agree that RDJ may get an Oscar nom.
Listen, the beautiful thing about movies, Link, is that it hits us all in different ways. It's all subjective, and that if that's the way it hit you, that's the way it hit you. You're neither right nor wrong. That's the way it hit you. I got to tell you, though, that my experience was very different from yours. I found that the characters and the important elements of the characters were all fleshed out to the point where carrying it on longer would have been unnecessary. I found the flow and the pace of the film had a perfect cadence to it. It was the shortest 3 hours. Listen, I said almost the same thing about Avatar 2, that, hey man, that was a real quick 3 hours. This was the fastest 3 hours I think I've ever experienced in a movie theater. Not that this is the best 3 hour movie I've ever seen. I'm just saying the way the cadence of the movie, the pace of the movie, while accomplishing everything it needed to do, So again, all due respect to your experience of the film, we all have unique experiences. That's great. I'm just telling you my personal experience of the film was very different from yours. All right, what's next?
Okay, Zach, pasta sauce, Walter.
Pasta sauce.
Oppenheimer was so close at 7 million left to get to 100 domestically for both Barbie and Oppenheimer to domestically get 100 million on the same opening weekend, something that has never happened before, but both made that worldwide, which is awesome.
No, it was.
It would have been 90 if it made
was
7 more.
17 million off,
Yeah,
not
7.
7 million off. Yeah, listen, it has never happened before. If I read it correctly in Variety,
looked everywhere. There was nothing. There's nothing that comes up for that.
what I read in Variety was this is the first time one movie opened to over $100 million and another movie made over $50 million. Which, I mean, I don't know if they're wrong, but that is a stunning statistic. That this is the first time ever that a movie's made over $100 million and another movie made over 50. Like, that's crazy.
And to top that fact, I looked up the biggest head-to-head opening movies, and there was I forgot what website, they had a list of them. None can compare to how big these two movies are. So
Yeah,
it's
it is
crazy.
literally a weekend we have never seen before.
Yeah.
We have never seen a weekend like this before. It's crazy. Again, the movie industry needed it. Warner Brothers needed it. Universal needed it. The fans needed it. And hopefully this will lead to some big momentum for some Turtles action.
Yeah, but the closest thing was Mamma Mia versus. It opened up against, I think, a Nolan movie. Was it Dark
Yeah, I
Knight?
remember somebody wrote in
Was
and
it
compared.
Dark
I
that
think it was
one.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, so that was the biggest one out of that whole list. That
And what was, look it up, what was the opening weekend for the first Mamma Mia?
for Mamma Mia, I got you. But go. you
Was
can
that
go.
over or under 50 million? Because I remember the Variety article saying no weekend had a movie open over 100 with another movie making over 50.
We missed our opportunity for Mama Night.
27 million?
27? Okay, is that the first Mamma Mia or
Mamma
the
Mia
second Mia?
2008.
Okay, all right. All right, what's next?
All right. Millie Horshey writes, I think Oppenheimer was the better movie, but Barbie had the better experience. Crew, do you agree with that or no?
I thought Oppenheimer was the better movie and was the better experience. But listen, don't get me wrong. Look, I enjoyed Barbie way more than I ever would have thought I would. Like, again, it was a smart, reflective, existential kind of film that I was not expecting. And you guys know, if you've watched the show for any period of time, you know, I was like, I don't care about Barbie, whatever. It's about a toy, whatever. But then some of the presentation at CinemaCon won me over. And I started to legitimately look forward to it. But again, it's not going to end up being in my top 5 films of the year or anything like that, but it's very, very good. To me, Oppenheimer was the better movie in almost every way. The one way that Barbie was better was obviously it's a funnier film. You know, it's
a brighter film.
It's a brighter film, but I mean, even then, in this brighter film, Barbie is asking herself a lot and contemplating death throughout the film, and the ending of her own existence and stuff like that, which gets kind of heavy. But yes, you're right. It's a brighter film. It's a lighter film. It's a funnier film.
Shorter film.
It's a shorter film, significantly shorter film. But overall, yeah, to me, Oppenheimer was the better overall experience, the better overall movie.
You can't pass up both movies. Everyone's got to see each one of them.
I think
at least once.
You know, I think you owe it to yourself to watch both of them.
Yeah.
I really do. I can't guarantee you'll like both of them, but I think you owe it to yourself to at least check them out. All right, what's next?
Sorry, I'm scroll. Sir Alex Ferguson writes, just a heads up, John, Man United play Real Madrid less than 24 hours after they play Wrexham, so you're likely to see youngsters and reserves against Wrexham. I recommend checking United's website for squads for the game.
I'm sorry, you've confused me for somebody who cares.
Yeah, he's just going for the experience.
I'm just going for, I mean, I get into soccer during World Cup time, and I'm a real big fan of the Welcome to Wrexham series. I'm just going to get to go see Wrexham, support Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, go see this team that I've watched, you know, on their Hulu series.
Better know all their chants.
And hey, and I know of Manchester United. So it's pretty cool that they're playing probably the world's most famous soccer team. But I'm not going to be facetious and I'm not going to be a poser. I'm not a soccer fan in general.
Football.
World Cup time, I'll pull out my Italian flag or my Canadian flag, whatever the case may be at the time. But other than that, I'm not going to mislead anybody and pretend like I'm a soccer fan. I'm not. All right,
John,
what's next?
Football is life.
Football is life. Donnie Rojas. Okay, what's next?
Milo Hunter writes, hey, John, what was your favorite press screening movie experience when you did press screenings?
The first Avengers movie. Again, I'm sitting in this theater, which was the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. I'm sitting in this theater with a bunch of jaded, bitter film critics watching this advanced screening of this comic book movie. And the amount of hooting and hollering and cheering coming from this grumpy, jaded group of people was amazing. And I remember walking out of that theater and like shaking. Like I just, you gotta understand, it's been a lot of years since that first Avengers movie came out. And I can understand a lot of people forgetting. But that was like nothing we had ever seen before when that movie came out, man. Like, and it's still, I still consider it to this day the best comic book movie ever made. And the experience it was at that time, like, and everything else that's been done great since it is just building on what Avengers did. Like, I don't care if you love Age of Ultron or Infinity War or Endgame or whatever. All of it is just built on what Avengers did. And that was probably my most fun press experience. All right, what's next?
Okay, Abigail Snowden writes, hey, Ray, who is your favorite of the 4 Ninja Turtles?
Oh, Michelangelo, for sure.
Yeah.
And then second would be Leonardo. Yeah, that's been always my favorite.
In The Last Ronin, who's the only one that survived?
Michelangelo.
Is it
Was it Michelangelo?
or
Was the only one who
Raphael?
survived?
I don't know. It's one or the other, but I think it's Michelangelo.
Michelangelo.
Wow, okay. All right, what's next?
Okay, Sam Fisher writes, they just announced at SDCC that after 18 years, they're finally releasing the soundtrack for Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm so happy. Avatar has, I think, one of the best TV and animated scores soundtracks.
I honestly couldn't. I really enjoyed, like, I finally got around to watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, the show, when the pandemic hit. And I quite enjoyed it. I liked it.
You did. I was shocked.
Yeah, I was shocked too that I really quite enjoyed it.
You watch cartoons?
But I couldn't tell you, I don't remember a single note of any of the soundtrack. So, I mean, but I think that's too, especially with Netflix getting ready to launch their live action stuff. So that's pretty cool. All right, what's next?
All right, that's it for tips.
All right, then why don't we take a second here and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of Open Mic. My mobile service provider, his team Wrexham is playing Manchester United today. Our good friends over at Mint Mobile and the people who have saved my backside several times, Rocket Money.
We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much-needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea.
We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. And for me, Rocket Money's been a godsend. I've told you the story before about how I found out that I was still paying a gym membership from when I was still living in Burbank, California 2 years ago. And just recently, I had completely forgotten that I was subscribed to multiple music services with different apps. Rocket Money identified the ones I wasn't using and helped me cancel my subscriptions
super easy. And I'm not alone. Over 80% of people have subscriptions that they've completely forgotten about, and chances are you're one of them. Like that Stars app you use just to watch one show, or that free gaming trial that you never got around to canceling. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you, and for any that you don't want to pay for anymore, just hit cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. It's that easy. Rocket Money also helps you manage all your finances in one place and automatically categorize your expenses, so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. So stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea.
And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile and Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your live super chats that you guys watching live have been sending in. Jonathan, what do we got?
Couple of tech questions from Luke1234. Between your spec'd out PC, Mac Studio Ultra, or MacBook Pro, which gave you the best streaming experience when you did live shows?
Well, I use, for Open Mic, like what we're using right now, we use a PC. I have a pretty decked out PC that Jonathan uses, and that's what we use. And what we got in there, we got a 380, right? We got an NVIDIA 380 video card. Mm-hmm. We got a 16-core AMD processor. Mm-hmm. We've got 64 megs of RAM.
It might be more. I can't
might be
remember
128. We might have put 128 in that one. With SSD, hard drive, stuff like it's all spec'd out. I use a Mac Studio on my desk. And when I'm like live streaming either like Ask John Anythings or when I live stream open mics myself in there, that's what I use. I think the PC we have probably does the more solid job of live stream, but partially because on the Mac Studio, I have to use like an Elgato link, like a USB HDMI capture for the cameras. Whereas with the PC, we literally have this really good, expensive video HDMI capture card that's put right into the PC. We can handle multiple streams like that. So, well, don't get me wrong. The Mac Studio, first of all, I love that freaking computer. But for live streaming, it does a perfectly good job. But I think, this PC, which we specifically designed for the purpose of live streaming, probably does the better job overall.
Especially with multiple camera angles.
Yeah, especially when we got like 6 different cameras hooked up to it. All right, what's next?
Okay, and then his follow-up is, what software do you use for the box office charts with the blue and white lines? It's the software that we pay for. It's called Ray Aura.
Yes, the Ray Aura software. Ray Aura 4.0, still in beta.
Yeah. Those are just...
It's Photoshop.
Yeah, it's Photoshop images.
But Ray does all those graphics. Like a lot of people, when I talk about those graphics take a lot of people a lot of time. Ray, I just come in, I say, hey, Ray, I need a chart showing the opening weekend box office of the last 5 Margot Robbie movies. Boom. And he generates these images and these graphics. He does them all from scratch. He designs the templates himself and puts it all together.
As soon as you start, if you're going to be streaming, as soon as you start realizing what you're going to talk about, like even like over and over, not over and over, but, like you'll have templates that you'll be able to use that you'll save. You'll realize, oh, I should have saved that template. And this is from years of working with you, John. So like I have templates from way back then that I still use.
Yeah.
It's
and
just
we
helpful.
have like a shorthand too. Like as soon as I ask you for something, I can just say, hey, I need something like this. You know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like that comes from years of working together.
If you see my folder, it's 3 list, 4 list, 5 list, 6 list, 7 list, all the way up to 10.
And you designed all those templates.
Yeah, all the way up to 10. So when John says, give me the top 3 for something, the top 4, I just open up that template and just fill it in with the subject matter. So
right, but you're constantly designing new ones all the time because I'm always throwing new things at you.
Right.
Yeah, so Ray is basically our own built-in AI system. So and other than that, it's just Photoshop. Photoshop is what Ray uses. That's his tool of choice. All right, what's next?
All right, Super Sany 13 writes, hi all, loved Oppenheimer last Friday in IMAX. Really thought-provoking at the end. I was especially looking forward to it as I studied physics at university.
I'll tell you what, it is a movie that both renews your belief in humanity and makes you scared as hell at the stupidity of humanity.
Oh, yeah, I felt so disgusting afterwards.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
Man. Like all at the same time. And I don't want to talk about the specific reasons why in case you haven't seen the movie yet. But it's one that fills you with hope and fear all at the same time. And the whole movie is summed up there's a quick clip of it in a trailer, but there's this scene where Einstein is walking away from Oppenheimer by a lake, and there's this look of despair on Einstein's face. And that kind of sums up the experience of Oppenheimer and what you're getting in that story. It's a remarkable achievement. Make sure you see it if you haven't seen it yet. All right,
That's
what's
the shot
next?
right there.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's basically it. I mean, whoo, like Nolan makes us feel like this several times in the movie, and then brings us up and then brings us back down. It's an incredible roller coaster. All right, what's next?
Jedi Master writes, think on this for a second. Okay, I'll give you 1 second. Next year's Oscars could have Jack Black performing Peaches and Ryan Gosling performing I'm Just Ken, and I'd accept nothing less.
You know, somebody else, one of our channel members wrote that in earlier today when we were doing the John Campea Show podcast. I expect to see both. Listen, right now the Oscars is all about, they tried to sneak in that idiotic idea for an Oscar category for Best Popular Movie. Idiots. But they have realized with the new leadership board and everything that they do want to lean into the more popular movies of the year to make the Oscars not just a celebration of the 5 or 4 frontrunners for Best Picture, but a celebration of the whole movie industry. And what better way to do that than taking the opportunity by using the stupid musical numbers to put in some of the things that help celebrate the most popular things. Look, Mario's going to be the #1 film of the year. Barbie may end up being the #2, #3, or #4 most biggest box office film of the year. You would be foolish not to take advantage of that at the Oscars and have, Ryan Gosling performing the Ken song and absolutely Jack Black performing Peaches. Like, remember that one Oscar performance of Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper on stage singing Out of the Shallows?
Oh, yeah.
Right? If you have to have the same piano in the same spot, have Jack Black sitting there playing it, and have Lady Gaga sit on the piano beside him.
That's from the Ninja Turtle movie, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
Out
what
of
it
the
is.
Shadows.
Out of the shadows. Secret of the Ooze.
Out of the shadow. But no, you got to recreate that and have Jack. You got to make that the shining moment of the Oscars this year. All right, what's next?
Richard K. writes, I like Val Kilmer's Batman. I think he was underrated and should have done more. I always get laughs when I say that, but I think the movie he was in is bad, not his portrayal.
No, listen, I agree. There's actually a moment, and it's going to sound like a very simple moment, okay? But it's the moment that all those pre-Christopher Nolan movies I thought was the best representation of Bruce Wayne. There's a scene after they thought Edward Nygma died where Bruce is in one of the Wayne laboratories and he's talking to one of his execs, and Bruce Wayne is like, I want full benefits for his family and blah, blah. And this exec is like, oh, but Mr. Wayne, because I can't remember if they thought it was suicide or whatever, because of this, he doesn't qualify. And he's like, full benefits. I know that sounds like a very simple little throwaway kind of thing, but the way Kilmer portrayed it, I thought that one moment was like the best representation of Bruce Wayne in all those pre-Christopher Nolan Batman films. I actually thought it was, yes, it was a bad movie, but I really did like him as Batman. All right, what's next?
Jedi Master's back. Saw Oppenheimer on Thursday at my local AMC and noticed that my seat was seat C4. Which is perfectly fitting for this film and because I'm the bomb.
Yeah, that would be a little concerning to me. I don't think
Yes.
That's
nice,
good.
Nice one.
that's good. I like that. But yeah, that would be a little concerning to me. I probably would have just asked somebody if they want to switch seats. All right, what's next?
Okay, Richard K. writes, with some of the films he does, like Equalizer, Training Day, Olympus Has Fallen, and so on, I'd love to see an Antoine Fuqua-directed Bond movie. I think he would do a great Bond movie.
Listen, Antoine Fuqua is just a solid director, right? Like, again, I'm always reminded of that thing Kevin Feige told me when I asked him about, like, what made James Gunn, who has never done a high-budget, big thing, what made him the right guy to direct Guardians of the Galaxy? And Kevin Feige said, a good storyteller is a good storyteller. Antoine Fuqua has shown he can tell a great story and tell it across different genres. And look, is Antoine Fuqua my top pick to do a Bond movie? No. But if they announced Antoine Fuqua was directing a Bond movie, I'd be all on board for it, 100%. I'd rather see Christopher Nolan, but I'd be all on board for an Antoine Fuqua one.
Did they cancel his Scarface reboot, or did they ever come through? Remember he was supposed
Yeah,
to
no,
play
I
Scarf?
remember that very clearly. I'm going to assume it got shelved, but I haven't thought about it in a long time. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's still alive in some form. All right, what's next?
Orange Hand writes, is Ann a Dodgers fan? Because I heard their favorite is sign Ohtani. On that note, who do you consider to be the biggest signing in sports history?
The
Biggest
biggest
signing.
signing in sports history.
Did Gretzky stay with mainly the same team for a long time?
No,
or-
see, but that wasn't a signing. Wayne Gretzky, who is the greatest, look, say what you want. The statistics prove it. The stats all prove it. Wayne Gretzky is the most dominant professional athlete in the history of professional sports. Like the distance between his stats and everybody else's is far wider than the distance between MJ, between Brady, and the rest of his contemporaries. It was Wayne Gretzky here, everybody else down here. Wayne Gretzky is the greatest professional athlete ever to play anything. But he didn't get traded, or he didn't get signed. He got traded. The Edmonton Oilers did the unthinkable and traded Wayne Gretzky to the Los Angeles Kings for basically big bags of money. And so that wasn't a signing. Man, as controversial and as kind of messed up as the way it was done, probably LeBron James going to Miami, taking his talents to South Beach. Like as badly as that whole thing was handled, they literally did a live broadcast special. Remember that?
He had a
went-
bunch of people in his ears, I bet.
Yeah.
He was young, too.
Yeah,
Come
he
on.
was younger and all that kind of stuff, but they literally did a live broadcast event for LeBron James to announce which team was going. So, that's probably the biggest one.
So stupid.
As badly it was handled, that's probably
So
the one it was.
stupid.
Yeah. King
charged
Daddy Goat in
pay-per-view.
the live chat just said, true, it changed the landscape of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
It did. It just, and no one's ever done it like that again, and they never will. All right, what's next?
Brandon writes, Barbenheimer is now the fourth biggest weekend of all time, only behind the opening weekends of Endgame, Infinity War, Force Awakens. What lessons should studios learn from the historic weekend?
Listen, I think it's going to be, and listen, there are going to be some studios that try to mimic and replicate what Barbenheimer was, and they're going to do it badly. But there is a principle here of studios maybe even coordinating some of their efforts together to find synergy between certain projects. Because I can't remember if it was IndieWire or Deadline that wrote this. We read this quote earlier from one of the major trades that said, these two movies didn't end up cannibalizing each other. They ended up helping each other. Because I guarantee you, Oppenheimer doesn't make 80 million this weekend if Barbie didn't open on the same weekend. And I guarantee you Barbie doesn't make 155 million if Oppenheimer didn't open on the same. They actually helped each other in a way that we've never seen happen before. And I don't know what the actual takeaway from that is. I think it's going to take people far smarter than me to really boil. Like, there's going to be some people that try to oversimplify it, but the actual takeaways from this, there is takeaways there to be had. It's going to take some time to really do some analysis, but I think in the future, you're going to find some studios say, hey, look, we've got this movie that we're releasing next November. We see that you're releasing this movie next October, but we think that there could be some synergy between these two films. What say we find a release date that we release both of these at the same time and then start a campaign celebrating both movies and try to, again, and I think you're going to see a lot of studios try something like that and do it badly. But I think there are some lessons to be taken away from this. It's something that we haven't really seen in the movies before. What is it?
I got it.
Okay. Turtles and what?
Yeah, just release movies that are over 90%. Come on.
Yeah, that's it. Just that simple. Just relate over 90% movies on the same weekend and away you go. All right, what's next?
Chef Rigo.
Jeff Rigo.
Rigo!
Saw Oppenheimer last night in Limax. Still loved it. The Limax. And man, those bomb scenes hit different when you're literally in front row. Whoa, front row. Great movie.
I'll tell you what, man. The tension in the movie theater during the bomb scene.
My heart was beating so fast.
It was like you could hear a pin drop in the theater, but if you waved your hand in the air, you could probably feel the tension in the air. Like it was crazy the way they did that. Super great way. Like just the way they did it was unbelievable. All right, what's next?
Richard K has a few here. Will we get a Ride Along 3? Your thoughts? That's Ride Along, man. Woo.
Was that
That was
Ride Along too?
That's Kevin. Yeah, they did do a ride along too. That was Kevin Hart and Ice Cube, right?
Yeah.
I think Kevin Hart might be beyond those movies now, so probably not. All right, what's next?
Will we get a Taken 4? Your thoughts?
No, right now. Liam Neeson is doing like 50 Liam Neeson films a year, but I think the Taken one has been put to
Neeson in
bed.
it.
All right, what's next?
Will we get a Paul Blart Mall Cop 3? I didn't know there was 2.
There was a 2, I believe.
I like the idea of Paul Blart. I like the idea of that as a comedy, just the whole premise. But I'm not sure the comedy actually worked out as good as I thought it
I really
could.
didn't think it did. Like, I don't think it worked out at
Because
all.
the guy in a Segway, a big guy.
Yeah, the premise is an interesting premise, but I don't think they
that's
executed
laughable.
a good movie around it. All right, what's next?
And then finally, have you ever seen the show Dog the Bounty Hunter? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw one episode because everybody talked about Dog. I watched one episode and I thought, okay, I don't need to watch that again. So I did see one episode.
Did you see the South Park episode of it?
No,
Where
I did
Cartman
not.
pretends to be him.
Oh no, really?
And he's the hall monitor.
Oh, I did see that one.
Where the teacher is sleeping with the Kyle's little baby
Is
brother.
that the one? Maybe I'm thinking the wrong way. Is that the one where Cartman said, "You will respect my authority"?
Oh yeah, he
Is that-
says it there too,
okay,
again. But
okay.
yeah,
That makes sense.
That one's hilarious.
All right, what's next?
Big Cookie writes, just a thought, not a complaint. I love the Barbenheimer, but interesting to see Barbie had a PG-13 rating and Oppenheimer rated R. Actually thought Barbie brought a bit more filthy thoughts. It's also for subject matter, though.
Dude. A naked Florence Pugh is riding the shit out of somebody in this movie. Don't tell me Barbie brought the filthy more than Oppenheimer did. It did
Elena, what are you doing?
not. Yeah, Elena. What?
Now I got to turn that picture around. I'm so embarrassed here.
Yeah, no. Barbie did not anywhere near bring the filthy as close. And Jonathan is right. It's also a matter of subject matter, right? But yeah, make no mistake. Nothing in Barbie came remotely close to as filthy as things that happened in Oppenheimer. Make no mistake. All right, what's next?
All right. Shuva Raman writes, Oppenheimer to me was the best movie in years and Nolan's best work.
Did you have to say writing this?
Well, I mean, she was grinding the metal horseman. She was like going hard.
I just okay. Let's go.
What's next? Go
right.
ahead, keep reading.
So it stayed with me days after I saw it and cannot stop raving about it to friends. Watching it again on IMAX 70 millimeter in Mississauga.
Ooh, Mississauga has a good theater. I wouldn't say it's the best movie in years myself. I do think it could be Christopher Nolan's best film. It could be. The only film, I think it's better than Inception. I think it's better than Interstellar. I think it's even better than my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, which is Insomnia. But is it better than The Dark Knight? Maybe. I need to marinate on it a little bit, but it might end up being my favorite Christopher Nolan film of all time. I'm still not sure if I think it's the best film of the year. It's going to be tight between that and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, but it's a wonderful movie. All right, what's next?
John Redcorn writes, 2 concerns that I have about the Marvels is 1, it may require you to watch 3 Disney Plus shows, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, and Secret Invasion to get what's going on. 2, after 2 trailers, I don't know what the movie's about.
I agree with your first concern. I agree with that. I mean, having seen WandaVision and having watched Ms. Marvel, that's fine for me, but I agree. Look, I was just talking about a little bit earlier. The old Marvel, you never had to do homework before watching a new Marvel project. Now you do. I don't think you have to watch Secret Invasion. I'm not getting the sense you have to watch Secret Invasion to be able to watch it. That being said, I'm a big stickler about after the second trailer, I should have a basic idea what the movie's about. I've watched 2 trailers now. I feel like we've got the basic idea of what this movie's about.
I think so too. The Kree are on the rampage, and
yeah, there's another
powers are
accuser
shifting.
who's got a bangle like Ms. Marvel's that is somehow manipulated to the powers between Ms. Marvel, Photon, or whatever they're going to call her in it. and Ms. Marvel, they end up switching things as causing a big challenge for them, and they've got to stand against this accuser. I mean, I don't need to know all the intricate details. I just have, I feel like I now have a basic idea about what the movie's about. Unlike, say, Blade Runner 2049, where I watched like 6 promo spots for that, and I had never had a single clue what that movie was going to be about till I watched it. And I ended up liking the movie a lot. But I do feel like I got a basic idea about what this movie is.
I do feel like I'm not too worried about having to see all those other shows, because this is being told from, I think, mainly Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel's perspective, who just appeared in Miss Marvel's closet. And so they're going to have to explain to her who these people are, and thereby we'll understand who Miss Marvel is and her family.
But like, for instance, take for example, a lot of the people who didn't watch Ms. Marvel, right? And you know, it's one of the most unknown, it's one of the newest characters, even in the Marvel comics. A lot of people didn't see it, even though it's, guys, listen to me, it's fucking fantastic. If you haven't watched Ms. Marvel, you should. But if I try to look at it from the perspective of people who haven't seen it, you're watching this trailer and like, who is this kid? And why are they in her family's living room, right? Like, if you didn't see Ms. Marvel, like, this is all hitting you. It's like, okay, I recognize Captain Marvel, but I have no idea who this Rambo is. I have no idea who this Kamala is. I don't know what's going on here. I think it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
John Redcorn writes, over under 40% Wrexham AFC reference in Deadpool 3.
100%. 100%.
They referenced Wrexham in Ted Lasso.
Did they?
Yeah, in season 2. And they even referenced Ryan Reynolds owning it and everything.
Wait, did Wrexham even come out in by the time?
By season 2. And they reference it like early in season 2.
No. Wrexham wasn't on TV by the time Ted Lasso season 2 came out.
It's referenced. I remember it.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. I got to find that reference. But I 100% think they're going to reference it in Deadpool 3. All right, what's next?
Future Millionaire writes, hey, Ray, did you blush or cringe at oh my God, the Florence Pugh scene in Oppenheimer? You know,
grinding
he was
that metal cowboy. Riding the shit out of that dude.
Did you blush?
I actually thought it went by too fast, because like before.
I think that's what most men probably felt that way.
I don't mean that in like that way. It took a second for my mind to process who that. I didn't know that Florence Pugh was even in the movie. I didn't know.
I had totally forgotten she was in the movie too.
And then that happened. And then when they did the talk and close up on her face, I was like, did I just see Florence Pugh just do what just happened right there? So it took my brain. So I was like, there's no rewind here. So there's nothing I could do about it. So.
And by the way, I'm making jokes about it, but it wasn't gratuitous. Like, remember, to me, gratuitous is when it was completely unnecessary. The nudity and the sex or intimacy, whatever, it was conveying something that was happening in the movie. And again, I'm not going to say what it was for those who haven't seen the movie.
Sorry.
But it was elevating the tension of a scene. It was deepening our understanding of certain characters and their dynamics. It wasn't gratuitous.
No, it wasn't.
It was sexy as hell, but it wasn't gratuitous. It was done in the name of the art. And it worked. More art. All right, what's next?
All right. Future Millionaire. Oh no, we wrote Raymond Vrada. The Star Trek Strange New Worlds Lower Decks crossover was what fans were waiting for. Yeah, just ask Rob. It was the best of both worlds.
I have not started watching this new season of Strange New Worlds yet, just because I've been like inundated with other stuff. All I can say is I loved season 1. I haven't liked Star Trek this much since Star Trek: The Next Generation. I thought season 1 was absolutely fantastic. I'm looking forward to watching this season. I just have to get through this last thing I'm watching right now, and then I get to start watching this season of Strange New Worlds. All right, what's next?
Dylan Fernando writes, congrats on starting the movie blog 20 years ago. I've been a fan since 2019. Thanks for inspiring me to be a part of the film fandom community.
Yeah, I think yesterday.
That was the day?
Yesterday was officially the 20th anniversary
Dang.
of me starting the movie, writing my first post on the movie blog. So long story short, for those of you who don't know it, I was living in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, and I had started a blog, just mostly so my friends and family back in Ontario in the Toronto Hamilton area I could keep up to date with what I was doing, right? When I realized I was writing about 80% of my blog posts was about the movies I was watching, I just decided I'm going to start another blog just for movies. And it was so early the domain name themovieblog.com was available. So I bought that domain name and I made my first blog post in July of 2003 about the movie Seabiscuit. That hadn't come out yet. Seabiscuit had just dropped a new trailer, and I made my very first post about this new trailer for Seabiscuit. And I was in my friend's basement on a laptop, put it together. Little did I know, what I thought was just going to be a little side hobby turned into something that would change the direction of my life. And it changed my career. It changed everything. And guys, I had just turned 30. It is never too late to completely change directions and have a new start and do something different and do something new. And even in my career in doing film stuff, I have changed directions many times. Went from doing my blog to then working for AMC Theaters, leaving AMC, working with Complex, leaving Complex to go out on my own. I mean, it's never too late. Whatever you want to do with your life, if you're in your teens or 20s, perfect. But even if you're much older than that, it is never too late. Take your first step, start going in the new direction you want to go in. And it's been 20 years since I've been doing this. And it led me to Los Angeles. It led me to meeting my wife. It's been a hell of a ride, man. All right. Thank you for that, dude. I appreciate that. All right. What's next?
Raymond Verada writes, besides the Star Trek crossover, San Diego Comic-Con also dropped the Invincible Adam Eve special. I might rewatch Invincible Season 2 in November.
Somebody wrote into me and said they dropped an Adam Eve. Like it's like kind of like a little bit of a prequel. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna go home and watch it later tonight. I'm definitely gonna go home and watch it later tonight. I'm actually pretty excited. I love the first season of Invincible. I don't think it's the greatest thing on TV or anything, but it's quite good. It's quite enjoyable, and I cannot wait to see where they go with it. All right, what's next?
Michael Jones writes, with $20 in a three-parter.
Thank you, Michael.
This is the first weekend where two movies have made over 80 or 70 million for the 30-day weekend. There have been 3 times when 2 movies made over 60. Memorial Day weekend 2004, Shrek 2 in its second week made 72. And get his two-parter here. Another $20. Thank you. The Day After Tomorrow. Wow. Debut with 68.7 on Christmas weekend 2009. Avatar in its second weekend made 75 million, and Sherlock Holmes debut at 62 million. And on June of 2013, Monsters University and World War Z debuted with 82 and 66 million. Last of 3, a few side notes. Monsters University and World War Z weekend was Man of Steel second weekend. One reason why it fell 65%, and Shrek 2 and Avatar both set records for biggest second weekend at the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can. By the way, thank you so much for sending those in. That was very generous tips of yours. Thank you so much for that, Michael. Appreciate that. We were mentioning a little bit earlier in the show that I believe it was Deadline Variety that was saying this is the first time ever that one movie made over 100 million and another movie made over 50. It even puts it in more into context when you mention the fact that never had two movies make over $70 million. And the same weekend.
Opening.
And opening, but at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if you tell this, maybe this is the sports guy in me, but I love statistics that paint a picture, right? That's why I love the statistic when we talked earlier about the success of Barbie this weekend, saying Barbie in its opening weekend made more money in the United States than Flash or Fast X did in their entire theatrical run in the United States. I love statistics like that paint a picture. And I don't think we ever would have even thought about this, but to think that we've never had a weekend where 2 movies made over $80 million.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Like that paints a historical context for us to truly understand how special what happened with Barbenheimer this weekend actually was. And how unheard of it is, and understanding it may be a long effing time before we see anything like this happen again. And it's pretty remarkable. And I love that you're throwing out those numbers, the 80 plus, the 70 plus. And I love that you're giving some historical data too on the ones that did do the 60 plus. That was really interesting. Shrek 2, really? That's great. So thanks for sharing that, man. I appreciate it very much. All right, what's next?
Right. Big Mouth Stan writes, Cillian Murphy's eyes alone in certain scenes in Oppenheimer told us how he felt better than words could ever describe. Just a brilliant performance and the best acting of his career, in my opinion.
I've heard some people asking, considering how long Cillian Murphy has worked with Christopher Nolan, so why did it take so long for him to give Cillian Murphy a lead? Because those of you may not know, the way Cillian Murphy got his role as Scarecrow in the Dark Knight movies is that he actually auditioned to play Batman. And Christopher Nolan, you're not the right fit for that role. Christian Bale, whatever. So a lot of people say, how come he hasn't given Cillian Murphy the lead role before? Because he was waiting for the right role for him. That Robert Oppenheimer, this is the role you should be taking. This is the lead role you should have. It reminds me a lot of when James Gunn was doing his Michael Rosenbaum Inside of You podcast, when they're like, because like, wait a minute, he's super close, good buddies with Michael Rosenbaum. He was in his wedding party. He was at his bachelor party. They flew around the world together. Why wouldn't he make him Lex Luthor? Because James Gunn's like, it's got to be the right role. And Michael Rosenbaum, he played a great Lex Luthor, but this Lex Luthor is not going to be the same as that Lex, right? So that's Christopher Nolan. He's not just going to take his buddy and just put him in for the sake of putting him in. It's got to be right for the role. And man, did he pick the right one for Cillian Murphy to play, because he is awesome in Oppenheimer. So good in it. All right, what's next?
Bright writes, I knew the story of Strauss and the security hearings, but the film really made me realize how damn petty he really was for doing all that to Oppie. Oh, Oppie.
I'll tell you what, as Oppenheimer started getting screwed over in the movie, right? And again, we're not going to go into details.
Just tell us how it ends.
Every time it's happened, Ray is sitting beside me going, oh, like audibly. Ray is beside me. You can just hear Ray making, the son of a bitch. like getting audibly angry.
I don't like that stuff,
at
man.
things that were happening in the
I
movie.
don't like that stuff, man. You got a problem?
Ray gets right into the, hey, say what you want about falling asleep or whatever. Ray gets, when there's a movie that Ray likes, he gets right into these movies. All right, what's next?
B. Cookie writes, have you seen The Harder They Fall? It's a Western starring Jay Majors and Idris Elba. Most people I talk to haven't heard of it, but it's so good. I've definitely heard of it, but I haven't
That's
seen
the
it.
one on Netflix, right?
We were at your house for the premiere.
Yeah. That was a terrible movie.
I didn't stay to watch it. I watched the premiere and then went home. Because they did the red carpet. They gave you a code, remember?
Yeah, I got to see in advance. I got to watch the premiere of it. They sent me a special code so I could watch this thing
red
early.
Carpet.
It's filled with people I love in it. God, that movie was awful. I wanted to love it because Lakeith is in it, Idris is in it,
Jonathan Majors.
Regina Hall.
Regina Hall.
Who kicked I love almost everybody in this movie. That movie is garbage. So bad. It got great ratings. God bless. This is one of the big examples about all movies subjective. You watched that movie and you loved it. Awesome. Your experience and your opinion of it is no more or less valid than mine. But again, it's just that my experience with it was very different. I thought it was god awful. I expected much, much, much better from that movie, especially with the incredible talent in it. But that's just me. All right. What's next?
Levartov writes, hey, John, I've liked Secret Invasion, but once again, the show's quality has been diminishing by these horrid runtimes. Was it short?
That was part one. Was there a part two?
Oh, yeah. I will no longer look forward to any Disney Plus show if it has 6-episode count. Born Again is the only reason I have hope Disney Plus will do it justice.
The one thing I will say for Secret Invasion is at least the episodes have been longer than, they've done some 6-episode shows where it's 31 minutes, right? So at least the episodes have been notably longer than what they have been otherwise. And to be honest with you, while I also don't like 6 episodes as an episode count, I'd like to see longer. I will say that we'll see what happens after the finale tomorrow night, but I feel like they've told the story. And I haven't felt that way about other MCU shows, but about this one, I at least feel like they've told the story. And I don't know if more episodes were needed for this one. I may feel differently after I see the finale, though. So yeah, 6 episodes is frustrating, but at least these 6 episodes have been longer than some of the other ones. All right, what's next?
Mojo Dojo Casa House writes.
Have you seen Barbie? You understand that reference.
Regal's mystery tonight is going to be Gran Turismo.
You know what? That movie's going to bomb horribly. But I got to, after the CinemaCon presentation, I'm actually legitimately interested in seeing this movie. I want to see how it turns out. Let us know what you think of it after you see it. All right, what's next?
Finally, Shuvo Rahman writes, I see Opie having a great leg in the box office.
Yeah, I think both, we were talking about this earlier, I think both Barbie and Oppenheimer. I think there were a lot of people that couldn't see Barbie because they all sold out. They're going to go back see Barbie. I think a lot of people decided to see Barbie first and are going to go see Oppenheimer next weekend. I think you're going to see both of them have pretty strong legs. And look, all due respect to all the people, wonderful, talented people involved with trying to put Haunted Mansion together. Haunted Mansion is going to get its ass handed to it. Listen, I'm going to go see it on Thursday. Ray's going to go see it on Thursday. I'm going to hope for the best.
You guys probably have plenty of seats in there, right?
Probably lots of leg room.
Yeah, it's going to have leg room.
I'm not
legs.
expecting a great movie, but hope springs eternal. Like I said, I love Rosario Dawson. Oh, God, I love Rosario Dawson.
Oh, wow.
Owen Wilson, Lakeith, Danny. I mean, it's a great cast. Here's hoping, but it ain't going to stop the momentum of Barbie or Oppenheimer. So I think they're both going to do well. All right, guys. With that down, that'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Grinding that metal, cowboy.
Oh, boy.
Thank you so much for being here and joining us for today's show. I want to thank Ray Ora, who I've scarred for life, apparently. Also, Jonathan Voico. My name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. Don't forget to come back and join us again tomorrow. And until next time, my friends, grinding.